Constitution specifies that impeachment lies for treason, bribery, or other high crimes or misdemeanors. Bribery is explicitly noted in the Constitution. And I got to say, the evidence, not only against Hunter Biden, but the evidence against Joe Biden being complicit and profiting from this corruption is growing and growing and growing.
Growing and growing and growing. Like that thing on Fetterman's neck. Well, happy Thursday to you and welcome. Happy to be here in my seat at flagship station WMAL in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. We remain at 888-630-9625. Today is Star Wars Day. It's Star Wars Day. You know what Star Wars Day is? I'm not much of a geek. Michael Piercy is a proud geek. He loves, and he's very good at it, at all these, would you call them geek movies? I don't think Star Wars is a geek movie. It's, at this point, a classic and a collection of classics. Why is it Star Wars Day? It's May the 4th. It's May the 4th, you see. May the 4th be with you. That's because, you know, it's not too bad. It's kind of fun. It's a little bit of humor for us on this day. Better than just a few days ago, it was May Day, the International Day of Socialist Revolution, which the Democrat Party celebrates because, you know, as their boy Vladimir Lenin said, the goal of socialism is communism, and the goal of the Democrat Party is socialism. So you do the math. There it is. And with that, we're off to the races. We've got, that was Senator Ted Cruz last night on the television talking about the latest Biden family scandal, just the latest. You know, we got the laptop and the Hunter Biden emails and the big guy getting 10% and Tony Bobulinski, who I think the news media hit in the back of the head with a shovel rolled up in a rug and left at Fort Marcy Park in Virginia near the CIA. That's a Vince Foster reference, you know, Hillary Clinton. Remember Hillary Clinton? Whatever happened to her? What a sad, sad story she is. I predicted long before Election Day in 2016 that she was a tragic story, didn't I? I said I thought that she would lose because she's a tragedy, not a comedy, a bit of a drama. Okay, an occasional comedy, but really just when throwing ashtrays at her husband's head and bouncing them off of his cranium while the Energizer Bunny is running out the back door, scantily clad. That's another thing. And it's a little bit funny when she wakes up once again face down in a pool of her own dried vomit on the kitchen floor of one of their many mansions, one of their many multi-million-dollar mansions. But there is an update on the Biden family scandal. Which one? Which scandal? Well, you're right to ask that question. But now we've got Senator Grassley and Congressman Comer demanding documents and now subpoena. There is a subpoena for a document or documents. There's a whistleblower and the FBI. There's an FBI file that they're hiding from the Congress and the public because, sadly and tragically, the FBI has become an engorged appendage on the body politic of the Democrat Party. And the FBI, once a revered institution in the United States of America, has been horribly corrupted by the permanent bureaucracy, often known as the deep state. The deep state is back. At the Chris Plant store, we have Deep State, Department of Deep State T-shirts and Department of Deep State coffee mugs, and they're very tasteful, I must say. They're very nice. They're very good looking. They use the Department of State seal, and we just add one word to the seal. Very. You could even have one if you worked at the State Department. The coffee mug could sit on your desk, and most people would ever even notice that it says Department of Deep State on the State Department seal. They're fun. I like those. We also have, Remember Normal and Mostly Peaceful, and of course Resist We Much, because we love the Reverend Al Sharpton. He's my favorite journalist, I think. If I were to give out journalism awards, I think Al Sharpton would be on the shortest of short lists, don't you think?
But resist we must, and we will much about that be committed.
I think I would have Tawana Brawley present the award at the black tie dinner, not to racialize things, but there it is. Yeah, the FBI file links Joe Biden, not Hunter Biden, but Joe Biden. It all ties together, and the news media has just been burying this for so long, turning a blind eye. To say they've been turning a blind eye to it is generous understatement, because they have been running from it and attacking anybody that brings it up. Tony Bobulinski, a CEO of one of the many Biden family corporations. Why does the Biden family have many corporations? Why do they have businesses or business in, they don't actually have businesses. Have you noticed this? Like what's Hunter Biden's business in Ukraine? Well, it's Burisma, a Ukrainian oil company, gas company that was notoriously corrupt even before the Bidens got there. And then Joe Biden demanded that the government in Ukraine fire their federal prosecutor. It was like a special counsel who was looking into corruption at Burisma, which was paying millions to the Biden family. And Joe Biden, then vice president, demanded that the Ukrainians fire that prosecutor who was looking into their son's corruption, to their family corruption. And sure enough, the Ukrainian government fired the prosecutor. And Joe Biden threatened him. He said, the United States was offering them $1 billion in loan guarantees. And he said, well, you're not going to get those loan guarantees from us unless you fire the guy that's investigating my family. And the news media said, what? There's nothing to see here. The New York Times was fine with that. And they give each other awards. Isn't it amazing? Yes, they do.
I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a got fired. What
a drunk. Honestly, of course, he's not a drunk. I think he's sober, isn't he? I got a trust issue. I'm Irish enough where, I got some issues with that. But there he is, and he's on camera saying it, and the entirety of the news media laughed along with him and shrugged and said, no, that's good that he abuses his power to get the federal prosecutor in Ukraine fired when he's investigating millions of dollars coming to the Biden family, or at least the company that is funneling the millions of dollars to the... And he's got these millions of dollars coming from China. Now, I've got audio for you on this today. Hunter Biden doesn't speak the languages in the countries of the countries that are paying him and his family millions of dollars. We now know there are as many as 12 different members of the Biden family that have been raking in cash as part of this ongoing organized crime syndicate that is a global, it's like, good Lord, honestly, it's like a James Bond thing, and the Biden family is Spectre. They've got their tentacles everywhere. And now yet another whistleblower. And is it? I have my Washington Post over here. Is it in the paper today? No, it's not. No, it's not. No, but there are more attacks on Clarence Thomas today because the left is still a lynch mob. They just can't give up their old habits. Amazing stuff. But Senator Grassley and Congressman Comer, chairman of, Comer, chairman, Grassley not, looking into the FBI and the whistleblower, yet another whistleblower. Grassley is an old whistleblower protector. Whistleblowers go to Grassley because he can be trusted. And a whistleblower alleges that the FBI and the Department of Justice have a key document, revealing a criminal scheme involving Joe Biden, all right, and a foreign national. But all of this is fine with CNN and the Washington Post and the New York Times because they're not legitimate news organizations. They're Democrat Party fluffers. And I'd like to apologize to professional fluffers who make their money as fluffers. Grassley and Cromer are now demanding that the FBI hand over the record alleging the criminal scheme. And why is the FBI not just saying, oh, sure, here it is? Well, because the FBI, too busy raiding the homes of Trump administration officials and the home of the former president of the United States because he had classified documents that they knew all about, that he was already in touch with the archives about. And hey, Joe Biden's got a pile of classified documents in his garage and there's some office on Capitol Hill and everywhere, classified documents in his pants. Honestly, man, oh man. Remember like Sandy Burglar of the Clinton administration went to the National Archives and stuffed highly classified, one-of-a-kind documents into his pants and his socks and walked out, and was like, the archivist was like, wow, he really does love the archives. As he smuggled them out, and then he destroyed them all. And they only had to do with what they knew about Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda on the lead up to the attacks of September 11th, and these were the last and final documents in the historical record, and Sandy Burglar, National Security Advisor for Bill Clinton, smuggled them out and destroyed them all, and all of that's fine, right? Isn't that great? It's great to be a Democrat, isn't it? So we got that going. And bribery and all kinds of other foreign nationals. But the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, they attack anybody that brings it up. Instead of looking into it, what they do is they attack anyone that mentions it. That is a filthy, corrupt operation, I got to tell you. Also, Joe Biden, more Joe Biden. The Cold War, Joe Biden's Cold War, this is kind of fun. They're now declaring war on air conditioning as summer rolls in. And with all this global warming, hey, the planet's getting too warm to occupy. I think we'll take your air conditioning away. Hey, Grandma, sorry, no more air conditioning for you because Joe Biden. Of course, the White House will be kept at a cool 48 degrees at all times because otherwise Joe Biden might start melting. They got to keep him on ice. Turns out he died about 4 years ago. So the air conditioning regulations keep piling up. And this is, they're going after the gas stoves too. And then they lied about it because they lie about everything. And then the news media helps them. It's amazing. Gas stove. No more gas stoves because gas stoves, which are the greatest, of course, are killing the planet. We had an example over the winter where a woman, somebody's grandmother, the electricity went out for days and days, probably because of climate change or global warming or global cooling or something like that. And she didn't have gas stove. She had an electric stove. Those are awful, aren't they? You don't have you're a cooking guy. You have a gas stove, right? And I have a gas stove, and I love my gas stove and gas the best, of course. And if you're in the dead of winter and your electricity goes out, it's good to have gas because have two sources of energy. It's good. But now they're waging war on air conditioning and gas stoves. And then they said, no, we're not doing it with gas stoves. And then they whispered, and the news media laughed. And they nudged him, gave him a little elbow, and then they went behind a dumpster and had sex. The Democrats and the news media. It's like they're on Grindr. they're on. Is that the right one? They're on Grindr together, and they meet up behind the dumpster where Hunter Biden threw his gun. Well, actually, it was Hunter Biden's brother's widow with whom he was having sex. Just keeping it classy, Biden family. And she threw the gun in the dumpster behind their high-end grocery store, as the news media described it. Aren't they amazing? So then they say, hey, what about the banning gas stoves thing? And they said, we're not banning gas stoves. We're just not going to allow any new construction to have gas pipes going to the new construction. So there'll be no gas heat and no gas cooking. And in the wintertime, Grandma will freeze to death. But as their boy Joseph Stalin and the New York Times said, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And they're making an omelet here. That's for sure. And we're not banning gas stoves. We're just not allowing new construction to have gas lines going to them. So no heat, no cooking. Good stuff. So they're phasing them out because they're saving the planet, for the dolphins or something. For the polar bears. There are 5 times as many polar bears today as there were in 1970. Pay no attention. It's kind of like saying, no, we're not banning cars. We're just not going to build roads anymore. So after a while, there will be no roads, but you can keep your car. Great stuff. Again, a new attack by the left on Clarence Thomas because they're racists. An update on the transgender manifesto. Our border is about to be overrun by a tsunami of humanity because it's the fundamental transformation of America, And don't worry about them learning to speak English. You need to learn to speak Spanish. This is the Democrat Party's plan for America. And did you see? I didn't see it at the time. You see the nice lady in Arizona that dressed up like a cat and went to a school board meeting to make fun of the transgender, to make a point, an honest and true point, about the transgender school board member. And, of course, your advanced placement courses in school for Black and Latinx students only. Not that they're racists. We're at 888-630-9625.
So say it with me. See, say Broadway. The future is ours.
Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store. All right, and then there is the border and the looming end of Title 42, the impending human tsunami. Cities all over America are overwhelmed with the number of illegal aliens because of the millions and millions of illegal aliens in the country, because it's the Democrat Party's plan to swamp the United States, overload our healthcare system, our educational system, the immigration system, obviously, and cities are drowning because of, honestly, I think every plane should go to Martha's Vineyard. Remember, that worked pretty well, didn't it? That made him go crazy. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Chris calling from Toledo, Ohio. Christopher, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, this just shows what the worthlessness is in the Republican Party when they do nothing about all this criminal stuff going on with the Bidens. I mean, if this were the Trump family, the heads would be exploding, and it's no different at the border. Why aren't the Republicans at the border with their heads exploding like the Democrats? Trump was trying to do good things at the border. The Republican Party is busy on the news outlets crying about what's going on and hoping it gets them a vote. What's the problem?
Well, that is not only a good question, it's a question that has been asked for years and years, even decades. And the Republicans, I make mention of, you're right, the Democrats they'd all be standing out on the steps of the Capitol, and the women members would be crying, and the news media would be there crying with them, and they'd be banging their machete on the podium like Manuel Noriega, demanding justice, and they'd be impeaching people and having show trials and hearings with green felt tablecloths.
The Trump family would be in prison already.
Honestly, and you're absolutely right. The Republicans have control of the House of Representatives, but they don't abuse power the way that the Democrats do. And there is one really.
They should start.
They should start. I agree. They should return fire. They should respond in kind. And responding in kind wouldn't be kind, but it would be in kind. Remember when Joe Biden recently said if the Russians used chemical weapons in Ukraine that we'd respond in kind, demonstrating that he does not know what the term in kind means. And that's another thing that, but listen, the Democrats, the late night TV carries their waters, Saturday Night Live, The View, all the networks, and HBO and Showtime, all propaganda outlets, Comedy Central, for the party. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be pounding the table and holding rallies. It means they should be. The New York Times is worried about slavery and bedrooms and slavery. And there might be gypsies in there, and they want to be the un-American fascist language police, the New York Times. I've got that story for you today. Nothing could be. This is really kind of classical liberalism here with the New York Times story. A quiz with the headline, "You can't say that," with an exclamation mark. Yeah. And they actually use the word verboten, which I think is appropriate given the way that the Democrat Party has gone. Pretty amazing stuff. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael. We are at 888-630-9625, as is normally the case. Let's go to Marcus, calling from Arizona. Marcus of Queensbury, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, sir. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
Welcome.
I wanted to tell you I really enjoy listening to your radio show, and I've really enjoyed the Biden Chronicles. But the reason for my call, I was watching Newsmax this morning, and on the bottom scrolling ticker, I saw that you're getting your own show hosted by yours truly.
My own show hosted by me. It's true on the great Newsmax channel, which is growing while Fox News is just dying of autoerotic asphyxiation.
Well, sir, I'm calling to congratulate you. It's well-deserved, and I bet your best girl is very proud of you.
She is. It gets me out of the house for several more hours a day, and no, she is. It's great news. It is wonderful news. I've been down at the Newsmax studios in Washington for the last several days, and the show begins on Monday on Newsmax. And I'm looking very much forward to it. It's going to be great. It's already great, and we've barely even started. I'm very happy about it, and I'm glad you called in with the news because it is. I'm very happy. Radio and television and radio.
Congratulations, sir. It's well deserved. And you know what they say?
What do they say?
His brain is a broke. It's a no good.
That brain of his. She's a no good. She's a broke. That the brain. She's a no good. Hey, Marcus, thank you very much. Have a great and wonderful Arizona day. I'm sure it's beautiful. How's the global warming going in Arizona? Are you terrified?
I am absolutely terrified. They say if you don't like the weather in Arizona, just wait 15 minutes. So we're just inundated with climate change.
Yeah, it's yesterday at least, it was in the 20-degree range in many parts of Michigan yesterday. They're looking forward to a little global warming. They'd like a little more Arizona in Michigan, especially upper Michigan.
We're in central Arizona, or actually northern Arizona. It's a beautiful spring day, and the garden's doing well. Very
nice. Very, very good. Marcus, thank you. Thank you for the call. It's true on Newsmax beginning Monday, May 8th. Today is Thursday. That's this coming Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can adjust your clocks accordingly across this great land of ours. Chris Plant, The Right Squad. That's the name of the television show, Chris Plant and The Right Squad. And it is a panel discussion show led by me. I'm actually looking at the Newsmax statement, the release that was put out today, and there it is. So now I can tell you what it is. And at the table will be Jen Pellegrino, the veteran Newsmax anchor, and she's wonderful. We've been working and playing together for a while now at Newsmax. It's all been on the QT. It's been hush hush. And three other regular panelists. I know Mercedes Schlapp will be a regular, and she's brilliant and wonderful and fun and pleasant, and she's going to be great. And so we will, and then there will be a rotating cast, a revolving cast from that point on. But it's Chris Plant, The Right Squad, kind of like the Mod Squad, Pete, Link, and Julie. It's in a slightly updated version of that. And it's, we're not anti-American like at MSNBC, for example. We're on our side. And it should be fun. It should be because we've got the news, the crazy news of the day. And what's not funny about all the news that we have every day? Am I right? Come on. There's nothing but hilarity going on out there. Now, with that, we do have the Biden family corruption. I want to share that with you. And right now I want to get to a story that we grabbed yesterday afternoon from the New York Times. Perhaps you've heard of it. And the headline is quiz, : that seems inappropriate somehow, doesn't it? They love their colons. You can't say that! ! And then in parentheses, or can you? That's their headline. And it's almost funny, but they've got how many reporters? 4 fake reporters, leftists all, at the New York Times, typing up the story, including Kwok Chung Bui. Kwok Chung Bui is the lead reporter on this. Sarah Chodosh is number 2. Then Jessica Bennett and John McWhorter. And they've got 4 of them because you can't just have one reporter on any story anymore. You got to have, it's like Bolshevism in journalism. You got to have it's a team effort. It's like that. And they say that they surveyed 4,423 Americans. Were they really Americans? Honestly. Where most Americans actually agree with the, quote, language police. So here's their goal, is to communicate where people agree with the word Nazis. They should really be called word Nazis. And the language police, which is what the fascists do, Hitler and his Socialist Workers' Party and Joseph Stalin and his Union of Soviet Socialist Republics and Bernie Sanders and his Socialist Party in the United States of America and, of course, AOC, really the whole Democrat Party, and then the educational system. But how 4,423 Americans responded, and they asked them, can you use this word or should you not use this word? Well, what words were they talking about? Well, for example, gypsy, which is, an ethnic group in Europe, and they steal a lot of stuff from people, and they have for centuries, and everybody knows it. I've told the stories before about being in Westminster Cathedral in London, England, and suddenly, the whistles are blowing and the bobbies are running around with their tall hats and their nightsticks, tapping them on the stone floors and blowing whistles. And they locked down all of Westminster Cathedral. Wo-do-de-do-do. And they locked all the doors and locked everybody in because a swarm of gypsies in an organized crime effort ripped through the place, looting it like Democrats in Walgreens or a CVS or pretty much any place in the United States. And maybe the Democrats should be called gypsies. But and the police, and we're standing there, we speak the language there, so we asked the police, hey, what's up? And sure enough, gypsies are all over the place ripping people off. And they're famous for, and then they got that werewolf thing too. Remember Maria Ospinskaya, in The Wolfman, and the mark of the beast, and the pentagram. Gypsy, should you use the word gypsy or not? 44% say yes, and 56% say you shouldn't use the word gypsy. All right. How about rapscallion? And then my best girl, it sounds like I'm, name-dropping travel or something. We were in Paris, France. Perhaps you've heard of it. And we were actually by the Arc de Surrender. The Arc de Surrender, it's a big arch. And we were there, and a gypsy woman, a young woman, came running up to me with a brass plumbing fitting that's shaped just like a wedding ring. It's shaped just like a wedding ring. And she's in broken, Romanian or something, is trying to tell me that she found my wedding ring. Now, I'm there with my best girl. We were not married at the time. Now we are. And she's trying to, it's a scam, of course. It's like, I'm going to accept that this is gold, and then I'm going to give her money for her generosity for giving me my gold wedding ring back. And she knows that I know, but that it's not my wedding ring. But I'm supposed to be greedy enough where I'm going to pretend that it's my golden wedding band, and I'll give her money for it, right? And of course, I'm not an idiot, so I immediately recognize it's a complete scam. And I said, oh, thank you for my wedding ring. And I immediately slipped it on my finger, and I waved goodbye as we were walking away, smiling cheerfully. And she's running after, tugging on my shirt and, trying to grab my wallet out of my pocket and stuff. And so I killed her. Right, I didn't kill her. I didn't, but she followed us for more than a block as I'm, no, go away, thank you, Maria Ospinskaya. And finally, I think I gave her like some kind of a €0.50 or something. It's European money. It's not really worth anything. So I gave her a little something. But I do, and then we got a picture, and there's a picture of me standing in front of the Arc de Triomphe with this wedding ring on my finger that's really a brass plumbing fitting. And I have the picture at home in a frame, and I still have the wedding ring too in my box of stuff. Still have the wedding ring in my box of stuff. So gypsy. How about powwow? Can you use the word powwow? 66% say no, you can't use the word powwow. Is that because of Elizabeth Warren? Can you say papaw? Can you say my papaw has high cheekbones? Because I like to say that a lot to mimic Elizabeth Warren. So powwow, you can't say like, Michael Piercy and I are going to have a powwow after the show. You can't say that. That's what the New York Times says. 66% say no, 34% say yes. I say yes, all right? Spaz, can you say the word spaz? 28% say yes, 72% say no, you can't have a spaz. I think you should only use that term when you're talking about somebody who's a real spaz, when it's a spaz. But then it gets better. Can you use the term pregnant women? Pregnant women. Why would you not be able to use the term pregnant women? Well, because they believe that men get pregnant too. This is how mental they've gotten.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Huh?
Can I provide a definition?
No, she can't. She's not a biologist. Now she's on the Supreme Court of the United States of America. She should be impeached just for that alone. Forget Clarence Thomas having a friend. She should be impeached for, not being able to answer that question because she's clearly a spaz, might be a gypsy. Pregnant women, 14% say no, you can't use the term because it's prejudicial against men who get pregnant. And that's actually the reason. That's actually the explanation because the Democrat Party is mental. Can you say mental? Is that in here? Breastfeeding. Can you use the term breastfeeding? Only 85% say yes, 15% say no, right? Then they ask chest feeding. Can you use chest feeding? 10% say yes, 90% say no, you shouldn't use chest feeding. I was chest feeding for a while, and the chafing and really at my nipples, can you say nipples on the radio? Chest feeding, can you say chest feeding? 10% say yes, you should use chest feeding. 90% say no, you shouldn't use chest feeding. Birthing parent, should you use the term birthing parent? You got pregnant women, 14% say no, you can't say pregnant women. Birthing parent, 34% say yes, you should use the term birthing parent. And 66% say no, birthing parent. That, again, is because Democrats believe men can get pregnant and give birth to babies because they're mental. And I shared with you the story the other day, the college that is putting what I will call feminine hygiene products in the men's rooms because they say, and they literally, the woman in charge of this said that some men menstruate because they're mental. They shouldn't be allowed to have driver's licenses. They certainly shouldn't be allowed to buy firearms. Let's be honest about that. The term master bedroom. 84% say yes, you should be allowed to use the term master bedroom in the house. That's the big nice one in the house. And 16% say no. 16% say no. Maybe you should use primary bedroom instead. 49% say you should use primary bedroom and 51% say no. Master bedroom, they explain, became verboten. Verboten! Yeah, it is verboten. Because really their inner Nazi is coming up and they're using verboten. Master bedroom became verboten among many real estate professionals in the summer of 2020. Say they're burning words, they're word burners. In the wake of George Floyd's death, because he didn't have a big bedroom, many were concerned. Mental people were concerned. It could be perceived as racist, as in slave master, or sexist. What does that have to do with George Floyd? Was he mean to girls? Master of the house was often considered a man. It would be the mistress of the house if it's a woman. See, these are terms that are in common usage in the English-speaking world. So they offered primary bedroom instead. But what's interesting here, there's something interesting here, is it your mental illness? After 2 years, over 80% of Americans still use the term. And that usage is consistent across demographics. It's a master bedroom. Get over yourselves, honestly. I think Cher is going to have to kill that song Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, isn't she? We're going to have to ban that. We're going to have to ban that song. How about Master Lock? Are we going to have to boycott Master Lock? Master Key, can you go ahead? Instead of a Master Key, we'll have to call it a key because it's the key that opens all the locks. What about lock? We shouldn't use locks because slaves sometimes were locked in places and with things. like prisoners, Cher's going to have to go. But then the New York Times explains, in case you're looking for relief here, the term seems to date back only to the early 20th century, and it's real estate lingo for the room that slept in by the master of the house. Oh, no, I'm terrified again by history. It did not originate as a term for where slave masters slept. You people are really this dumb, aren't you? There's a lot of mental going on out there. This is it, master bedroom. How about third world? Can you use the term third world? 73% say yes, 27% say no. How about developing, as in developing nation? How about like child? Oh, I've run out the clock again, haven't I? Yes, I have. Low income. Can you use the term low income? No, you shouldn't use the term low income. Only 33% say yes, 67% say no. I think there's a lot of the people who say that you can't use pregnant women or breastfeeding or master bedroom and gypsy. This is today's Democrat Party, represented here by the New York Times. They're mental, they're spazzes, and they steal a lot of stuff. And you guys, Democrats, please stop shooting everybody. Can you just stop shooting everyone, please? Now, Jane, who is answering phones for us today, lives in Washington, D.C., and told us stories about the gypsies in Washington, D.C., near DuPont Circle, threatened to break her neck. In Adams Morgan, threatened to rough her up. Ended up having to take refuge at Million Al's Pizza Place and call the cops. We're getting texts from, tweets from Fredneck, who's telling us in Frederick County, Maryland, there are gypsies that steal livestock. And Michael Piercy went to Europe, it was in high school, and was instructed that if any of the gypsies try to throw a baby at you, they're really just distracting you so they can steal stuff out of your pockets, and it's probably not their baby. And the instructions were, don't catch it. Which is pretty funny. They're known also as the Romani, an ethnic group, right? Primarily Eastern Europe. And here's the thing, if your people steal stuff from people for 500 or 600 years, you might get a reputation. That's how that works. It's like Democrats in the United States with the looting and the arson and the rioting and the violence against police and the suicide attacks. One of these days, even in the newspapers, the Democrats might begin to, have a reputation, an unflattering reputation. But right now, with information dominance, they can loot you and it's your fault.